Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Would you please stand and join me in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Rachel, can we have a roll call?
Councilmember Larson. Councilmember White.
Present.
Councilmember Dan Hahn.
Present.
Council President Melinda Cox.
Present.
Councilmember Stubble.
Present.
Councilmember Josh Hahn.
Here.
Mayor Richardson.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right, moving on to approval of agenda. So no questions or concerns about the agenda. Can I get a motion? Can I get a second?
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Larson to approve, second by Councilwoman Stubble. Approve the agenda as presented. Call for the question. Councilman Jehan?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. Since we have no public hearing tonight. So moving on, communication from the floor.
Mr. Mayor, we do
Yes.
have a public hearing
Oh,
for the
we do?
budget. Yes. Is it not?
I didn't,
Yep. Okay.
do,
It's a public hearing for the budget.
oh, the hearing for the budget. Okay. I didn't see it in here. I still don't see it, so. We're gonna skip it. All right, you wanna? We'll open the public hearing. Get, you to read the public hearing, sorry.
General fund, $8,144,748. Enterprise fund, $27,689,907. Economic development fund, $840,000. Airport, $554,300. Optional sales tax, $6,182,387. Lander Senior Center, $35,300. Capital projects, $1,147,895.
Okay, looks the reading of the budget, comment from the council?
Mayor,
Yes.
I mean, it just feels like we can't let the moment pass by. I'll try to summarize what I said last time. We comment on this, but I'm grateful to the council. I'm grateful to the public and input we've received, to the staff of the proposal here, that I think this budget reflects our values of investing and being wise stewards of investing in our future, saving where we need to have a really strong equipment replacement fund. I'm glad we're thinking forward like that. Seems like we're solving a lot of problems these days because we didn't quite have the foresight or the financial perhaps cushioning that in previous years to be able to think the way we are thinking now. So I'm glad to see that we're saving for the future, that we have those strong reserves, that we can weather something coming down the way that we weren't maybe as prepared last time we had a world-changing event. So I think it reflects our values. I think it reflects that we're trying to be reasonable and wise stewards of taxpayer dollars and put our money into the things we're really trying to fix and maintain for the future, roads, infrastructure. So thanks, Mayor. Thanks
No,
everybody
thank you.
who's contributed.
So, any other comments, from council? Okay, any public comment on the budget?
I just agree with what Julia said.
Yep.
Thought it went well.
You want to come up and state your name and address?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Karen Watzel from here in Lander, Wyoming. I just wanted to speak tonight in reference to the amount of salary you all were discussing for a Parks Director. I think it was from like 72,000 to 117,000. This is not New York City. This is in California. We're a small rural Wyoming town. And I don't think that those salaries would be in range for what something like this town needs. I think the average median, I just tried to pull it up and it made a lot of noise, but I think it's around 58,000 for the entire United States. I think for this area, it's around 47,000. So I just wanted to make the public aware of that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay. I'm gonna close the public hearing. No more comments? Close. Now we'll go on from communication from the floor. Please approach the mic, state your full name for the record. This meeting and comments are electronically recorded. All comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Any communication from the floor? Any communication? None. So we'll move on. Mayor and council updates. Councilman Larson.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple, let me get them pulled up here, help me remember. I, last week as I just went cruising around to see what all was happening in town and I was just, amazed at the amount of people that was there at the Brew Fest. You know, that's a huge thing. You know, I didn't go in, but just to drive by and see all the vehicles and so forth there, it was pretty amazing. But the other thing that I done is just went cruising up through City Park, and we had talked at one time about putting up multiple signs, you know, with donation requested and so on and so forth. Are those get away somewhere, or are they somewhere that I can't see them, or where might those things be, or are they put up yet?
So we're still ordering signs at this point. So there are new
Okay.
signs coming. And then Ann and I also went over the wayfinding signs, which are similar today. So I think that those aren't too far away for the major wayfinding signs. It'll be throughout Main Street and other places to navigate a person around town. So there are new signs on the way, as well as ones that we've looked at to replace, like the green signs coming in that have faded at city limits.
Yeah.
You know, those are gonna be somewhat matching the same theme. So we've got a lot of signs coming, and we'll get them up as soon as we get them.
Good deal, thank you.
Mhm.
And speaking of signs, the one up there at the community center, man, that's nice to have that thing working and, you know, to kind of have an idea of what's going on. I think that's a real plus. And one other thing that I had a constituent contact me about was the release of the balloons on the pig roast. They were just really concerned that when biodegradable balloons go up in the air, evidently they're not biodegradable. I'm pretty ignorant on that kind of stuff, you know, and I just thought they went up in the air and presto chango, they turned to dust and life was good again. But evidently that's not the case, you know, anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 years. And that's if they're in the right temperatures and everything else that they will eventually decompose. But anyway, I don't think anybody's again putting suicide to front and center and having everybody aware of it, but maybe balloons is not the best way. And being you're in charge of everything that's evil in Lander, here, Mayor, we'll put that on your back too.
We got her. That it?
That's it. Thank you.
Councilwoman White?
Thank you, Mayor. Senior Center Board met this morning. Once again, they did a phenomenal job of providing sustenance for Lander residents. 3,652 meals delivered in May, served or delivered. combination. And then they also do waiver meals, which is usually around another 500 a month. They're having a second electric car donated to them, and they're really psyched about that.
Cool.
They got their first one going, and they really like how easy it is to use and quiet, and not to mention cheap. So they're psyched about that. Their prime rib fundraiser is this Saturday. There's still some tickets available. There's also an extensive silent auction, all kinds of pendants, rings, a commemorative pistol, binos, and a jade knife. You don't have to purchase a dinner ticket in order to bid on the silent auction items. And again, all of that is fundraising for them. And they're also gearing up for their 4th of July pancake breakfast. So in terms of the planning commission, the last meeting, gosh, I so admire the diligence that that group does. They really take to heart about being the front line in both educating and enforcing, educating the public and enforcing the codes, and trying to do that in as professional manner as possible. They really wrestled with a hard decision this past week, and I so appreciate their thoughtfulness and diligence in that. On a somewhat related note, so on June 1st, we had the start of the 2 flights a day out of Riverton, and sorry for the bad pun, enplanements have taken off. It's just amazing when we get a record of, or plans, a graph of upcoming enplanements. And you see the general trend line for May, and then June just goes at this exponential curve up. It's pretty awesome to see that. And one thing, Lance, I've noticed a number of times, pretty much every time I'm on North 2nd coming to Main Street, that while I know the change in traffic flow was a big hurdle and a pain for some of the business owners around there, every single time I go by, I think about how much better traffic flows there. It is so much smoother, I think much safer without parked cars and vehicles trying to get around the parked cars. So thank you for that. Well, yeah, that does happen from time to time. And then likewise, the statewide housing committee working group is continuing to work with some of the interim groups to try to provide some larger level changes that can make attainable workforce housing. Lander's not the only community that struggles with that. So that's it on my end. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Hahn.
Thank you, Mayor. I had a constituent approach me, and it was about the perpetual care at the cemetery. He bought, I don't know, X amount of plots and paid for the perpetual care. And he got charged again. And so I talked to Reggie.
Sure, I just put a mint in my mouth.
Seen that.
We have talked to this constituent and others, and Danielle and I did some researching into the bills that the gentleman paid clear back from 2015. And we tried to make our fee schedule with the changes that we're adopting tonight better understandable, but I don't know that we've succeeded. So the perpetual care fee is per interment at the time of interment, and prepaid fees may be adjusted to updated fee schedule at the time of opening. So all that means is if you bought a lot in 2015, but you didn't put anybody in it, previous sexton let people pay the perpetual care fee. But today, if you inter someone, that perpetual care fee has had a raise. And so the cemetery has been charging the perpetual care fee from the day of interment. And so that caused that gentleman to believe he was billed twice. He was billed for half of it back in 2015, and 9 years later, he was billed the remainder of the current price. We turned that over to Field. Field's done a good job dealing with the guy. So he's been to City Hall, he's been to council members, and he's been to Field. And that's the answer that I have for today. I don't know that it's going to change.
I just had one other question. Is that standard?
I can't answer that. That's something you'd have to call Field or the cemetery staff and see if that's standard. We are in our master plan going to have a cemetery memo for best practices at the cemetery. And that's why we told you we weren't going to adjust the fees this year. We would wait till next year until we had that. So I would bet that in our cemetery memo, we'll get the best practices throughout the state, and they'll have some recommendations for changes for us.
Lance, did you have something or that's in your reading for it, Mike?
No, I was just gonna echo what Ray Jean said. We're evaluating our process and our fees compared to other cemeteries. What makes us really hard is that we're not a cemetery district. And so districts run with quite a bit more revenue because they're getting the direct distribution from that tax. And so a lot of our fees are making sure we can, I mean, what we look at last time, John, 24% or something is what we recover as far as fees, I believe, of what we actually put in the cemetery when you talk about, and don't quote me on that number, I can look that up, but I think last time I looked, it's, 75% of that's being supplemented up there as far as budget per year, just to keep it going. We can reevaluate that, but I mean, we're trying to offer a service, not overcharge, but be fair and then balance that with the state of Wyoming and not have people running to other cemeteries to be buried.
Well, the only thing I would say is perpetual care means you pay and it's forever. So I don't think that, and maybe our attorney could say, maybe we shouldn't have perpetual care in there if you're gonna pay and then pay again. Or is that kosher?
I can't answer your question without having looked at what they have, so kind of being put on the spot right now, but I can look into it and see what they've got.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. I'm just saying perpetual care. The term perpetual care means you pay and it's, anyway, maybe you could look into it, Adam. I mean, he's concerned, but I'd like to know myself. So thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I want to point out that perpetual care money does not get mainstreamed into the city general fund. At the end of the year, that money goes into designated funds that is for long-term of the cemetery. And we have not touched that money. Every year we put money into it. It has a fund of money in there. I'm sure we're gonna have to touch it when we build this new columbarium, but otherwise that is restricted. Those are restricted funds.
Thank you, Councilman. That it? Councilwoman Cox?
Thank you, Mayor. I did have an update in reference to LEDA, and we are currently looking for and vetting new board members, and we have a couple of good candidates in place that will be attending our next meeting. Aside from that, no new updates with school district number 1, but thank you for allowing me to appear on Zoom.
Thank you. You ready? Councilman Stubble?
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks for your patience while I still battle this never-ending cough. I have a few updates, one from a liaison and then a few thoughts on some community events. Regine, please add detail here, or Lance, from my Energy and Environment Task Force update. But I understand from the last meeting that it sounds like the city is moving towards applying for a Wyoming Energy Authority, a Wylight grant from their Wylight program to increase efficiency at the Public Works Department. And E&E, the group, is really glad to see this. I think hopefully we're helpful and pointing out and discussing with staff my things that Lance, you and your crew had already noticed, right where that building was probably literally leaking money through windows and insulation and ducts, and that where there's plenty of opportunities to be made for increased energy efficiency up there. This program is a grant we can apply to year over year. And hopefully if successful, we'll be able to make some improvements to that building that will help us save some dollars on our energy bills there. In your updates, please add anything I've missed or correct that. Mayor, it's the busy season, so went to a couple community events that I want to comment on because they're just so important to the fabric of Lander. First, the Lander Art District had their 4th annual street fair on early June, the first Saturday. I'm going to forget that date. And it really was just exuberant and fun and impactful to get a lot of people gathered around the art district block there and be spending money downtown. The vendors occupied the art district alley this year. So the alley that runs between 2nd and 3rd, in parallels Garfield and Main, Lincoln and Main. And that was within, I think, with plenty of conversation with the city about how to safely use that alley. I think that really shows the kind of creative thinking the art district organizers, Lori Hunter and others, bring to these kind of community events, right? That's an overlooked public space, but one that we can certainly put to better use and be able to experience it with the vendors lined down the alley. I think could bring really good awareness to the ways we could add that to our portfolio of, of public spaces. There are 40 vendors, 6 musicians and bands, 8 artists in the quick finish competition, and then 8 area merchants, businesses participated in a puzzle piece hunt. So just wanted to give major kudos to those organizers for having a 4th annual. I couldn't believe there were 4 of them. It's a real economic boost for downtown and a pretty great event. Mayor, it's and council, it's June, and so I wanted to make a call out that it is widely recognized across the nation as Pride Month in the month of June. It's a chance for us to reflect and celebrate the strides that we have made towards equity for the LGBTQ+ community, and to reflect on the work and recommit to the work that still needs to be done to achieve a fully equitable and inclusive future. I went to the Pride picnic this on Sunday. It's a wonderful community celebration. I was struck that Wind River Pride and these Pride events and the picnic as I think the first one and the most standard have become standard to the community, that Wind River Pride has now been hosting these events for 11 years, so over a decade. And when I say standard, I mean that as praise, that it's just really become something that happens every year and that is really well attended and just, I think, a really joyous event often. So I wanted to express gratitude to the volunteers and the participants, the attendees, the allies who put these events on, who created really responsible safety plans, and who demonstrated that Lander is a welcoming town. I wanted to emphasize that the attendees of these events were entirely law-abiding and peaceful, and Chief, please comment on that during your updates if you'd like, that there were no observed criminal acts, as I understand it, at any of these events. So there's much to celebrate with success, I think, around Pride in Lander, and the fest is not over yet. There's more events through the rest of the month, but I don't want us to sit back and call it done just because it's successful. I think there's still plenty the city of Lander can do to take affirmative action, and there's a role for us to play in establishing Lander as a fully welcoming and inclusive community for all. Mayor, that's what I have.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Hahn?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to all the future Lander Tiger boys and the seniors and JV teams that took the time out of their summer to go to Spearfish, Black Hills State University, to do some practice this last weekend. Hopefully we get to watch some good stuff this year.
It'll be good.
They got a good team.
That'd be good. Thank you. Okay, just real quick on my note, I'm gonna steal some of the Chief's thunder and some of Lance's thunder because I've been going to a lot of meetings with them. Just wanted to let you know we had a bid walkthrough on the second go round on Lincoln Street. I counted about 20 guys in the audience, contractors, and it sounded pretty promising. So they're going to sharpen their pencils and I think get after it. So that was a good thing. So hopefully we can get some of that work started this year. We'll move on to the Brew Fest. Thank WRTA for putting the safe rides together. They took 206 people home on safe rides. So that really worked out great. So we'll keep that up. And then the tank project, man, I tell you what an amazing thing they're doing. They poured that floor and there's not a ripple in it. There's just flat, smooth. It looks nice. So, but like I said, that's a big project. Like I said, the guys were working down, getting the water and sewer put in down on Kaposia. And I think they about got that one wrapped up. So hoping to get some asphalt in. But like I said, there's a lot of good things happening in Lander. That's just part of them. And if you're bored on the weekend from now until after the 1st of August, you ain't looking for something to do because this town will be busy hopping. So, but lots of good things happening. So I'm just pleased with everybody and all their hard work. So good job. And on that note, we'll start with staff reports. Chief Peters.
I'll make it brief. We did hire our new officer. He just got sworn in today. It's Jason Hansen. He's a second generation Lander officer. His his father, Andy, worked here for years, before he moved on to DCI. So it's nice to get him back in the fold. He's a Lander kid. So, he did come to us from Riverton, by coincidence. But he has a year and a half of experience and just a bright future and a really nice kid. So, if you see him, which I shouldn't call him a kid, he's a young man, but, if you see him, say hello to him. When it comes to the events, all the events went off without a hitch this weekend. The Brewfest with the safe rides is actually astonishing. Last year we had 172 rides, I believe, with the safe rides, which I say we, but I meant safe rides, WRTA. So folks are doing the right thing. And if you noticed, we had a lot of law enforcement presence this weekend in town, including the command bus. Cheyenne PD came up to help us. And it wasn't anything to do with trying to deter the event or anything like that. It was just the aspect of, go out, like we always say, go out, enjoy yourself, but be responsible. And we are out there for the aspect of making sure that everybody on the road was safe if somebody made a bad decision, which there was only one bad decision this whole weekend with the whole law enforcement presence. So just that in of itself is a win for the history of what our county has dealt with through the years. So that's all I got, unless you have questions.
Any questions? None. Good job. Lance?
Yes, Mayor and Council, thank you. Just a couple quick updates. Lincoln Street, yes, that does bid on the 20th. I think we do have more interest than last time. So hopefully we do get bids. Next time we talk, we'll be talking about that project, I'm hoping. And then we did get a permit to construct from DEQ and a variance on our wells. And so we're going to be putting that out for bid, but just know that we're not going to award right away on that project or recommend to do that. The contractors are aware that we're underfunded. There's potentially money through Wyoming Water Development to make up the difference in contingency funds, and we have to get in their August meeting to ask for those. So there's some steps here, even if you see that out for bid, that we're not going straight to construction. We want to get as much funding up to the 67% that they allow to cover the state's portion if they're willing to participate in that. So hoping for good bid prices on our estimates and see where we end up on that job, as well as this will be a different contractor who equips wells and it'd be a specialty type of service. So it's going to be availability and who we get there. Other things are progressing well. I think Paposia is there, other than the subcontracting that we need to do. So that's concrete first and then asphalt, but that road may be dirt for a while. So if you hear from people, make sure that they know that we're working on it. We'll get there as soon as our contractors can get there, but we're in line. It's just going to be a busy season for the contractors and paving, and where we fall is where we fall in that project. So happy to answer any questions.
Questions? None? Okay. Regine?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The school contract that we've been working on, as you know, is over July 1st, should start a new one. So we may have that on a voting agenda next week. Both the school and Adam has reviewed it. And so we're working towards getting that in front of you for a vote to extend that. John, we did have a single complaint here at City Hall about releasing balloons for a suicide awareness event. I just want to let you know that that person and the organizers of that event are trying to work on solutions, everything from don't do it at all to hold the balloons and don't release them to release them just as planned. So I just want you to know that they are working on the solution. The EE task force, I would like to hook them up with some Rocky Mountain Power WattSmart people. And at the WAM convention, I got information and a gentleman willing to come up here, talk about using the city audits that they've already performed and seeing if we're eligible for any WattSmart programs through Rocky Mountain Power. So I don't know if I should give that information to you, Julia, or Adam. However, I can get that information to them.
I think, Mayor, if I may,
Go ahead.
the worst way to be a liaison is to be a middle person and slow things down. So if I can help you I'll share that.
Okay.
For the next meeting, but if you have time to communicate it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's up to you. But but I
Will do.
always, I don't want to be in the way of
All right.
information spread.
All right, I appreciate that. That is all I have unless you have questions.
Mayor, I'll keep commenting if I may. That's
No.
great news about the contact with Rocky Mountain Power. I understand that there's been some frustration about getting calls back, knowing who to call, right? It's just a behemoth of a utility, right? And trying to track down their contacts. So that's great. That's really valuable. I appreciate it. And I think I do share, I mean, I also heard the balloon concern. I share it as well. I think there's quite a lot of greenwashing around the term biodegradable for lots of products these days. Where really it means that it's biodegradable in an industrial machine that, is at high temperatures. So if we could find an alternative, I'd appreciate that. Richie, the way I heard you say that, it sounds like the choice to do balloons is not the cities, is it the church who's doing that?
So
Who's the church
it's
of-
neither the church or the city.
Great.
It is a subcommittee of the pig roast, and they have come up with this suicide awareness event. And again, they just got that complaint this morning. So I'm not saying they've worked out a solution yet, but it is a subcommittee of the pig roast. Neither city sponsored nor church sponsored. The church did donate funds towards the event.
That's right. Okay, that's helpful. Thanks. I'll look around to send some ideas for other ways to be thoughtful, commemorative, and reflective. Perhaps not produce a whole amount of litter.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry. Thank you for being here.
We went to WAM this last week. Governor Gordon was one of the speakers. I did ask him, they did a survey for the SLIP, for the ARPA funds that were distributed through ARPA. They did a survey that was due the first part of June. I was asking him how the funds will be distributed afterwards. So at December 31st, they're going to take funds away from places that have not had their projects engineered or weren't that far into it. It's not going to be a review process. They will just allocate it to other projects that have overcharges. So if Lincoln Street does come in higher next week, I would hope that maybe we'd be in line, that we could get additional funding through the ARPA funds, since they all have to be spent by 26, and our goal would be to have that spent by 26. Next week, Monty and I are going to Cheyenne for the SLIB meeting. Again, we put in for that MRG grant for the 550,000, which is what they recommended to keep reducing that cost since we didn't get all of our debt forgiveness when we were awarded the 45 million. So we'll go to defend our application that we submitted.
Questions? Councilman White.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, one thing I forgot to mention, my update and your comment reminded me of this. So there's a representative from the governor's office as part of the housing group, and he mentioned that there is conversation, at least, that SRF funds might be more steered towards communities that are proactively planning for the future. And I'm wondering if you've heard any of that as well in any of your conversations, or that came up at WAM.
No, I have not heard that.
Okay, thank you. I mean, regardless, if that does end up being the case, again, thanks to yourself, Regine, Lance, for all the proactive planning you've been doing and what that got us for our current tranche of SRF funds. It's really important that we have that, and that's actually one of the things I brought to the senior center meeting today as a way to explain to folks, look at the price tags for what these projects cost. And, I understand things like the water and sewer rates increases are not necessarily delighting anybody, but look at the price tags of what these projects cost and what you're asking for. And we have to have some ways of funding them. So again, thanks for all the proactive planning y'all are doing. And, again, like Lance, working with local contractors to put things out in a way that works for them. And that sounds like pretty amazing response that you got to have a room full of people for it. So it's nice to live in a place where we can work together.
Okay.
If I may.
You want to talk too?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted, this is what I heard the governor say. And it's not for projects that have been, or communities that are doing a lot of good planning. It's for communities that have shovel-ready projects, which is kind of the same thing, right? So thank you for letting us have shovel-ready projects, because we would be one of the communities that would be first in line for that redistribution if we're ready to hit the ground, because you have to be in construction and obligated, that means a bid by December 31st and then completed by December 2026.
Right, and that's the ARPA funds and agreed with that. He was referencing the SRF as, but again, either way, looking ahead and having plans and having things ready to go out is pretty awesome.
Okay. Adam, we finally made it.
I have not spoken with the governor recently, so I don't have anything tonight unless somebody has a question for me.
Questions? Okay, since none for Adam, Rachel?
The council has seen a number of resolutions come before them recently, and a number more, just a heads up, will be coming your way. I know that Shari wanted to work on a resolution about tricentennial funds. And there'll be some other resolutions and suggestions coming forward. On your next voting session, you will also see a request for the International Climbers Festival for donation of alcohol as well, similar to Brewfest. So that's just forewarning.
Any questions for Rachel? Nope, since we'll move on. Item 7, consent agenda. Approval of May 14th, 2024, regular city council minute meetings. B, approval of May 28th, 24, regular city council meetings minutes, and approval of May 28th, 24 work session, city council minutes, and approval of bills and claims. Any concerns with those 4 items?
Mayor, I'll note I sent Michelle and I communicated about a few non-substantive typographical pieces of on the regular session minutes.
Okay.
So thank you, Michelle.
Anybody else? You can't get a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Get a second?
I'll second.
Got a motion by Councilman White, second by Councilman Stubble, to approve the consent agenda. I'll call for the question. Councilman Larson,
Yes.
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 yes. Okay. New business action items. Ray. Approval of resolution 1313. Appropriations FYY 24-25. Sorry. Is that you?
I would stand for any questions.
Questions? Budget? Answer is none. We'll move on. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second.
I'll second.
Motion by Councilman Larson, second by Councilman White. To approve resolution 1333 appropriations. Call for the question, Councilman Hahn, Jay.
Yes.
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 Yes, okay. Item B. Approve resolution 1331, amending salary structure with the city of Lander for all jobs. And descriptions. Sorry.
This is just adjusting the salary structure to go with what the cost of living increase that you gave, that we're changing our base salaries and our ending salaries by.
Questions? Go ahead, Councilman.
So why doesn't this, why does it go for everybody and not just the people that are like down at the end of pay? Because, like what I'm saying is just like last year, like if you're in management or a department head, you're making a heck of a lot more than the guy at the bottom. 5% of what you make or whoever makes is a lot more than 5% of the guy that's out there working manual labor stuff.
Well, the way the city is structured and the way we've historically given raises is we do cost of living raises, and that's a straight across the board cost of living. We don't do merit raises at this time. If that was something that the council desired, then we should have a work session and discuss it. If we wanted to give merit raises, but as long as I have been here, we have only ever given cost of living raises.
So is there going to be a cap on this?
well, it's whatever the cost of living is at that year. So we've had years where we couldn't fund it and we didn't have any. And then we've had a lot where we were 1 or 2%, whatever the cost of living is. But with inflation, the last 3 years, the cost of living has been higher, and that's what we have budgeted is for the
Sure.
cost of living at the
Well, the
current.
public doesn't get a cost of living raise.
I don't know, the public sector and private sector,
Public, in the public sector. You don't get a raise every year. You know, sometimes you gotta,
you all are voting for the budget and approving the raises, so that's at your discretion every year.
Thank you, Shari. All right. Did I get a motion on that? Didn't I? Did I get a motion on that? No, I need a motion.
There, I move that we approve resolution of 1331, amending the salary structure for the city of Lander for all job descriptions.
Second. A motion by Councilman Stubble, second by Councilman Hahn to approve resolution 1331. Call for the question. Councilman Jehan?
No.
Yes.
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 Yeah. All right, moving on to item C. Approve resolution 1337 to approve the Parks and Recreation job description and add the position to the City of Lander salary structure. Can I get a motion in a second? What a discussion.
So moved.
Get a second?
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman White, second by Councilman Stubble to approve resolution 1337. Questions? Councilman Hahn?
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment. I know this is a different type of job here, but for us that were here 4 years ago, we basically terminated the Parks and Rec program. We terminated 2 people. We basically said that we couldn't afford to run this. And we really crushed 2 people in the process. It was a bad deal, and I still feel bad about it. I really do. I didn't like the way that went down, but anyway, I just wanted to make a comment.
Okay,
Thank you, Mayor.
Farrell,
Go ahead.
Mayor, I think hearing and holding seriously that previous council decision, I'm pleased to acknowledge that today our circumstances are quite different. And so, I'm glad that we're in a position where we can fill this position that we've retained. I think it's really important. We've done a job the last couple of years making do and filling in, and so I'm glad we're at the point where we can say, let's hire a Parks and Recreation director again. I did notice, I believe it looks like the proposal now in the job description that has been pay grade bumped down one, for a discussion at our work session, I imagine, which I wasn't necessarily in favor of, but the overlap is decent enough between 11 and 12 that I'm not opposed to that. So it looks like you took seriously the feedback you received.
Anybody else?
I've just got one question on that job description. I think it was down on page 36. Is there any particular reason that they need a CDL be in the Parks and Rec? Or is that just a happy sideline that,
I don't believe we wrote it in as a requirement, but if we can use that person during the winter and they're willing to get a CDL, we said willing to receive that training and be able to help out. So if they are slow and we need a driver, I think that would be something that we would explore as far as a potential training that we would give them. I wouldn't say it's a requirement.
it says must possess or obtain and maintain a valid commercial Wyoming driver's license?
Sit up, must read that again.
Must possess or obtain and maintain a valid commercial Wyoming driver's license with appropriate endorsements.
Yeah, I think we could make that not a requirement to possess. It's an intentional. We had discussed that one as being able to obtain, so we can adjust that.
You could,
Yeah, and if we end up with a a bus
Sure.
driver out of this at some point for camp and other
Yeah.
things, that would be great, but I don't think it should be a make or break as far as qualifications.
Well, I just thought that that might make it that much more difficult
To amend it to preferred.
to find someone.
Yeah.
It's great if they do, but I think that's gonna really hamstring you.
Yeah, John, do you want to propose an amendment to that? And so we can amend it now if
Sure.
everybody's interested, I think that'd be great.
Okay, that would be an option then instead of a must.
Yeah.
That'd be what I would propose.
You could make a motion to change it to a may
Okay,
or preferred.
whatever works.
Okay, got a
May.
motion- got a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
You got a second? Motion from Larson, second by Councilwoman White to approve the job description. That's what we're voting on now.
No, Mayor.
No,
Yeah.
you're voting on the amendment first.
That's what I just
Then you have
said.
to vote on the,
The job description.
job description.
changed. That's what we're voting on first. So I'm gonna call for the question. Councilman Larson.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. All right, now we're gonna go back and vote on the motion to approve it. So I'm gonna go again, call for the question. Lance?
One thing that also changed, and it came up in the discussion and it didn't come up tonight, but the weed and pest program and the supervision of that program, the reason that I didn't do a very good job of explaining this, but the reason I want this person to be licensed is so that we can still hire part-time help and if people can come and go underneath this director, but as long as they have the appropriate licensing, we can continue the program. So it's, not necessarily they're going to be out there applicating, or spraying or doing the mosquitoes, but overseeing the program and having those licenses to do that. This was another full-time position that we took to a part-time position during some of this budget cutting as well. So we haven't talked about that because that used to be a full-time person we had on staff. And so now we've kind of combined this all into one, in specialty programs. So happy to answer any questions on that as well that you guys may have.
Any questions on?
Mayor, I do.
Yes.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Councilman.
So Lance, thank you, Mayor. So that is a must obtain as well. That sounds like that's deliberate. We want that or that's accurate. We want must obtain. How, I imagine that's probably be sort of rare or unique for somebody who'd be looking at this kind of job to already have that. How onerous is that to get? And we'd be covering the costs?
We'll be covering
Yeah.
costs and training. And I think that that's well within their yearly activities to be able to attain those licenses and to be able to cover this. We also have grants we're eligible for in the weed and pest department. And so I want them to maintain those and the special management funds being able to do that, help with equipment replacement too.
See, Mayor, if I may, it seems
Go ahead.
efficient then. Thanks for having the foresight to combine those.
Okay.
I do have a
Yeah.
question too, Mayor. Thank you. And this is just a clarification question. Lance, you'd mentioned that, you basically combine these positions. However, if this director has those, that ability to oversee the weed and pest, would we not be hiring then a position that would go out and spray?
We still receive mills for management from a year-to-year basis. So our plan would still be to receive those county mills for pesticides to hire part-time help. So that's more seasonal for hiring people in and having workers within that department to do that job, but not necessarily needing those other positions year-round, if that makes sense, Melinda.
Yes, that does. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? I'll call for the question. Councilman Larson?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Okay, moving on to item D. Approval of resolution 1335-24-25 fee schedules. We've all had a chance to look at them. One question on perpetual care here, and Adam will look into it. So, and it's a resolution, we can come back and change it at any time, so it's a lot easier to change resolutions. So on that note, can I get a motion?
So moved?
And a second?
Second.
The motion by Councilman White, second by Councilman Hahn. To approve resolution 1335, 24-25 fee schedule. Any more discussion? Okay, call for the question, Councilman Jay Hahn.
Yes.
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 Good job.
Yes.
Yes. Right. Item E, approval of resolution 1336, building department fee schedules. Can I get a motion to second, have discussion?
Mayor, I move approval of resolution 1336, the building department fee schedule.
Second,
Second.
motion by Councilman Stibble, second by Councilman Larson to approve resolution 1336, building department fee schedules. Discussion? Yep. Okay, I'm gonna call for the question, Councilman Larson.
Yes.
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 Yeah. All right, moving on to item F. Approval of resolution 1334 exempting city limits from open container provision of the city ordinance 2-2-12 on the July 4th. We've done this every year. It's been here a long time. Can I get a motion in a second? We have discussion if you need to be.
I'll make a motion, sir.
Got a motion by Councilman Jay Hahn, and his second.
Second?
Second by Councilman White to approve resolution 1334. Discussion?
Mayor, I made two comments. Rochelle, this is a small typo on the document in our draft. It's it's listed as resolution 1344, not 34. So just adjust that. Yeah, Mayor, I think I mean, I'm always of two minds. I'm gonna vote yes on this, but I'm a little uneasy sometimes with the principle of it or the idea of it. So Chief, I guess I always just look to you that until we have a pattern of problems or it feels like we can't handle this, and I have yet to hear that that's true, you know, I think I'll continue to be a yes vote, but I'm not 100% okay with the idea.
All right.
I sometimes wonder about I don't know how we'd end it either, frankly. Like, once you do it for so long, it feels like a little bit unstoppable, which I don't want to be fatalistic around. Yeah, I think looking forward to always queuing off the like, is this still handleable? Are we seeing habitual or problematic abuse or issues arising?
See if you want to answer that.
There hasn't really been any issues. Because ultimately what it comes down to is I think if you said no to it, we'd probably have more of an issue than just saying yes. For the most part, almost like all our events that the council gives out alcohol permits to, very rarely do we ever have any issues. They're few and far in between. So I don't really have any concerns with it.
Okay.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
No further question? You got a question?
I think kind of following up on what Councilwoman Stubble says, likewise, I have both minds of that. And I think it's good to remind the public, it's a privilege, not a right. Please don't be the person that ruins it for the whole community. You know, be responsible with your activities and, yeah, be able to keep this tradition appropriately going.
Okay. Any others? Call for the question, Councilman Larson.
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, moving on to item G. Approval, authorize mayor to sign a ARPA grant agreement between the state of Wyoming, Office of State Lands and Investments, and the city of Lander grant, ARPA WS-1105. Can I get a motion second?
So moved?
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Got a motion by Councilman White, second by Councilman Stubble. Discussion. What is this one over there? If there's anything, sorry.
This was lost up at the Attorney General's office. This is the grant agreement for Lincoln Street project. So I went to do a grant reimbursement. I didn't have a grant form or a grant agreement. So they rushed one to us so we can get that reimbursed. The engineering costs.
Questions? Call for the question then, Councilman Jehan.
Yes.
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 Yes, okay. Moving on to item H, authorize mayor to sign 2 certification statements for Table Mountain Living and one for Lincoln Street. Get a motion in a second.
So moved.
Get a second. A motion by Councilman Larson, second by Councilman Hahn. Discussion, sorry.
These were actually attachments to the grant agreements, and when you signed the one for the assisted living, they didn't include this certification statement with it, so that's why you're signing that one now, and then the other certification statement is for the Lincoln Street project.
Okay. Any discussion? On the call for the question, Councilman Larson.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes, okay. Item I. Approval and authorize mayor to sign a memorandum of understanding with the Lander Chamber of Commerce. Want to have a little discussion on this? Missy?
What, do you want to do the typical move and? move
Yes.
and approve? So move to approve?
Get a second?
I'd second that.
Okay, got a motion by Councilman White, second by Councilman Larson. Discussion? Missy?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate, I think all of us got the updated information from Mr. Sweeney about the various costs that are incurred for a variety of things. And a couple of things come to mind to me on that. One is that the majority of those are really member benefits for chamber members. A couple of them are expectations that are set forth in their lease agreement. I'm of the opinion, and I don't think I'm alone in this, that a member organization, especially one that's centered on business, should really strive to be a self-sustaining organization. And what I would like to propose is to amend this to be a 1-year agreement and provide the funding for this year, with the idea that that would give Mr. Sweeney and his board ample time to be able to look at how to either streamline operations, increase membership fees, et cetera, so they can be self-sustaining without City of Lander funding. So that would be my amendment, is to have it be for 1 through fiscal year 25 instead of 28 for those reasons.
Is that your amendment?
That's my amendment.
Get a second? Get a
I'll second that.
Got a second by Councilwoman Cox. Motion by Councilwoman White. Discussion, amendment,
Mayor, if I may.
go ahead.
I think there was, I know there was really in-depth negotiations between staff and council, I'm sorry, chamber staff with Mr. Sweeney leading up to this point. So I'm hesitant, knowing we have discretion at this point to amend this MOU, but it would, I imagine, be a shock, since was this raised at all in those negotiations, a possibility being, when we settled on 4 years in the draft, I imagine that's what came out of those negotiations, not the possibility of 1 year. So this would be a surprise to the chamber if we did this tonight.
Reggie?
I just want to let you know that I tried to contact Owen because I noticed he wasn't here, and I just wanted to see if he was on the chat. I do not see him in attendance, so I can't speak for the chamber on that.
But is it fair to say, Mayor, if I may, that in the negotiations leading to this draft MOU, it's really landed on 4 years, was it even discussed as being a shorter term?
Yes, there were discussions of a shorter term. There were discussions of taking our current lease agreement, like Ann mentioned, the lease and the MOU, and turning them into one long-term agreement that's, you know, one agreement for one entity rather than the 2 we have now, and everything in between. But like you said, it was well. I can't speak for Owen.
Missy?
And, you know, I think that's a point well taken. I would also note they're only working on their FY25 budget at this point, and it gives them 15 months to work on an FY26 budget, which I think, given Mr. Sweeney and the board's business acumen, to be able to come up with alternate funding for 15,000 is both financially feasible and, again, philosophically I would state that a business-focused membership organization should strive to not be dependent on public funding for that.
Got a motion and a second. You want to have more discussion?
Mayor, pending, if there's any other thoughts, I'd be curious if other council member have opinions on that, but would you be open, Missy, to a friendly amendment of 2 years instead of 1 year?
I would not. Thanks for asking.
Okay, it's on the floor to vote on to change the resolution with the MOU of understanding for a 1 year contract, right? And still give them the 15,000 for this year. That should give them plenty of time to sit down and we figure out what we really want to do with it. So, I'm going to call for the question. Councilman Larson.
I'm debating on this.
I see that.
I like the 2 year thing. I really do. No.
Yes.
No.
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 Okay, fails, then we go back. Does anybody else want to make an amendment to this, or we stick with what we got?
The 2 year, Jamie.
Thanks, Mayor. I mean, I'm of two minds also. I think 2 years at least would be less surprising. It'll be more prep time if we're gonna make this kind of a change at this late hour in the negotiations. I mean, I think I would lean towards 4. So no, Mayor, I think I'm not gonna make that amendment.
So I got a motion on the floor to leave it as is. An agreement, so we call for the question. Councilman Jehan.
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
No. So we'll move on. Authorize the mayor to sign Lander Municipal Airport hangar space lease agreement with Joe Auto for space 206. And get a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Larson, second by Councilman Jay Han to authorize mayor to sign a Lander Municipal Airport hangar space land lease agreement with Joel Auto for space 206. Any other discussion? Since there's none, I'm gonna call for the question, Jay Han.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. Good job. Since there's nothing else brought before the council. Yes, got one thing. Lance raised his hand just in time.
Yeah, I was gonna give you one more update. We are keeping an eye on the river. You know, it's been very consistent. It's been, at that action stage, but wanted you to know as staff, we watched that. If we had anything that we were concerned about, we would have been notifying the public. So didn't want you to think that we were ignoring what's going on or these warmer days. I think tomorrow is gonna be our hottest day. We'll see what happens if we get a little bit of bump and then cooler weather behind that. But hoping that we're just gonna navigate this year, with everything staying in and our infrastructure looks like it's in really good shape. We've been checking out some of the diversions and other places we're concerned about. Things are holding together well. So just want you to be able to pass on that message in case you get asked.
As a tangent, Mayor,
Go ahead.
where are we at with the Corps of Engineers and updating on that project?
We're getting diverse.
We've been having some discussions with them recently. They should be near their 65%. We've been pushing them very hard to deliver upon that 65% and give us an updated schedule. They punted the meeting on the updated schedule that they were supposed to give us, which isn't great. But as soon as we have it, we'll come back and give you information that we have. So we're waiting to have them tell us, are we gonna meet these deadlines we've given to them and meet the public demands as well. I'm a little hesitant to see how they're going to do that, but until we have that information in hand, I'm not sure what that looks like.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Need a motion to adjourn?
I'll second John's John, let's
Motion
do
by
it.
Councilman Larson, second by Councilman White. Call for the question. Councilman Jehan.
Yes.
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 Yes. Meeting is adjourned.